So the way I always say that the way I run my D&D campaign IRL is I run them like Belichick. You know what I mean? You don't show up for practice, you don't play the game. So there are 52 weeks in a year. I assume that we're playing 45 sessions over the course of those 52 weeks. Because
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're welcome. So I assume we're playing 45 sessions of those 52 weeks. I assume you personally are playing 40 sessions. If you can't give me 40 sessions a year, you can go somewhere else. Find a different campaign, find a different group. I don't like people not showing up. I don't like it being you being there inconsistently and stuff like that. And I was always like super harsh about it. But again, now I have to be a little bit more forgiving because it's a matter of scheduling and this, that, and the other thing and whatnot. It's funny because as I'm talking about this, Broken NPC is talking about my next episode of Star Wars, which means they know what's what about the Star Wars game. I'm so sorry if you know about that. Last week I had lost my voice. I don't know if you could tell or not. I'm back at like 90% back to where I was. I blame Maggie. # blame Maggie for it. And Star Wars will be happening this week. But I don't see any issues. So barring any other unforeseeable issues, Star Wars this week, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, crushing it.
I'm with you, by the way, completely about attendance. I just did casting for my Iron Gods not too long ago, and it was like the first thing I tell everyone is like, I am a huge stickler for attendance, which means like if you know the time slot, you can commit to. You have no idea, and it's not just streaming; it's with running D&D online in general. You have no idea how many people will be like, yes, I'd love to play. It's perfect for me, and then the time comes like, I couldn't wake up in time for the game because I'm in Australia, and I'm like, really? Like I give everyone the benefit of the doubt when they tell me they can commit, but it's like, please don't waste my time. I don't have weeks to figure out that you can't make the schedule. If we're gonna play, if we say we're gonna start at 8 o'clock, then I'm gonna be there at 8 o'clock, and I expect you guys to be too. And that's it. That's how it's gonna happen.
Barring 5 or 6 minutes, I'm a very punctual on time person. If I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Which is why this past Thursday was so difficult. It was literally the first time ever any one of my streams stopped because of me, and I was like, I let people down. I feel like a terrible person, and many lashes were ensued. But
and thank you, by the way, thank you Broken NPC for the 30 bits. Can't wait for next Star Wars.
Yeah,
cheer. Thank you, man. Thank you. Cheers. Beers for cheers. Guys, give him some beers. Give him that cheers.
There's another 1 bit somewhere above that.
Yeah, that was that. No, you fuck that.
I like pennies. When I was your age, penny could buy me.
Here's why it's like it's funny to me. I don't know how into the Twitch culture you are, but the concept of bits is hilarious to me because what context would it be all right to just hand someone like, you're doing a great job, here's a penny?
Before the 1930s, when in the United States tip culture wasn't a thing, it was considered a compliment to leave 2 cents more than what your bill was worth. It was, sorry, 1 cent more than what your bill was worth. It was, you were worth the extra cent. Your service was that good. It wasn't until the 1930s that tip culture became a thing. So pre-1930s, that was amazing. Thank you for that penny.
Oh yeah. I just imagine, I imagine bits are like being flung at you, like, here, take the pennies,
like,
dance for the pennies. No, thank you guys, thank you. I'm gonna get a drink then. Oh, when in virtual Rome, fuck you, Ishman. So we are taking your question, guys. Remember, tag them with @explodingdice. So I see them.
There's a few up here actually.
Yes, I was scrolling back to see if I could catch them. If you see one, you can just read it out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was only half paying attention. By the way, milk is close enough to beer. If you're lactose intolerant, then there's a risk. So calendars and RPGs, do you create your own? So I can tell you right now that me personally, if I'm playing in a pre-established world, I will stick to that calendar. As a matter of fact, I stick to that calendar so much, so I'm such a stickler about certain things when it comes to like calendars and languages and stuff like that. It can sometimes be to the ire of my PCs because like the session to session can be annoying, but then when it like comes up as something important, they're like, oh, I guess it was worth it. So like for instance, in Faerun, Forgotten Realms, the calendar works very different than how it does in IRL. So in Faerun, there's 365 days. There are 12 months. Each month has exactly 30 days because there are 3 weeks, each being 10 days long. What happens is outside of those 12 months, there are 5 holidays that literally stand outside of the months. And then every 4 years, there's an additional holiday shield meet that happens in the middle of the summer. Yay! It works just like our calendar, but done in a different format that confuses the hell out of people. But again, I like to be Puritan and stick to the calendars because if I'm playing in any pre-established world, I will very much entrench myself. I do so much research, like I'm doing like a dissertation for like my PhD or something like that. I like immerse myself into the world and the important things about it around where the characters currently are, because sometimes PCs have prior knowledge from reading books or playing video games that take place in this world, or sometimes they just fucking Google search it. And I'm like, well, if they have a certain expectation, I'm going to meet and destroy that expectation, as opposed to them being like, I says here that Gandalf is actually level 19. I'm like, no, I could work with that.
Yeah, I don't do calendars mostly because I honestly wouldn't even know where to start. First of all, and it's just
January 1st.
the real not in game. Real January 1st is the only place. No, when I say that, I mean like it's information that I wouldn't even know as a DM, like how to properly keep up with. I do my best to try and keep on top of like what time of day it is, but even between sessions, sometimes I tend to lose track of that. And it's like, if I can sometimes my player like, wasn't it nighttime when we ended last session? And it's like, I don't know, like I try and stay on top of it, but if I couldn't tell you how many days have passed in a campaign that I'm running, right? Because that's just not a bit of information that I very rarely write anything down during the session, so it's probably not going to be something that I'm going to be like, yes, I need to keep track of how many days they rested for. I just sort of leave it fluid and, bring things up as if I think it's interesting.
Nope, absolutely. I completely understand what you're talking about, but even though I understand what you're talking about, I am going to copy and into our chat paste a wonderful Faerun tool for you. Bam! There you go. And that's just literally a quick Google search, but there's some awesome apps and whatnot out there. So for you, run your games the way that you like.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. But there are 1,000,010. Listen, we're talking like a 45-second Google search. You can get yourself an amazing web app or whatever it is that will track your days for you. So literally, you just give the responsibility to one of your players. Hey guys, if I say 7 days pass, can you just check off 7 days, and then they can keep track of it for you. One of the things I do as a DM, just sticking with this conversation, I handle responsibilities. It's very important because I, as a DM, do a lot to make sure that the world runs well. Sure, I don't do over prep every session. I do a lot of other things to make sure the world is immersive and so on and so forth. But note keeping, that's never my responsibility. I hand it to a PC.
Yeah.
Until you're on Roll20, keep a track of initiative. That's never my responsibility. I give it to a PC. Keep a track of the calendar. Never my responsibility, et cetera, et cetera. Because when you do stuff like that, it really frees up your responsibilities and allows you to entertain them without being like, I'm like being drowning in admin and stuff.
Yeah.
So it changes it.
Yeah, I like when players take notes. I don't know, like, but for me, it's never been a guarantee that you're going to get a note taker in the group. Like sometimes for example, my Friday group, I've been playing with that group for 3 years now, playing Pathfinder, and we have a player who will legit write everything that happens in the session down. Like we've been playing for nearly 90 sessions of the campaign that we're playing now, and he has
obsidianportal.com.
No, not even that. He has it all in a Roll20 document.
Sure, and a Roll20 document. It depends on what kind of game you
play. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, he's that kind of player where and I will let him do the recaps, basically reading off his notes from the last time, because no one else will do it. But that's not a guarantee that you're gonna have a player who's gonna do that in every group. Like, you may get a group where no one wants to take notes.
And you are 100% correct that you will always have to work with that. But you can always be like, hey, if you guys as PCs are willing to do these extra responsibilities for me, I'm going to give you an extra blah. Oh, you want to be the guy that doesn't want to do it? No problem. Just so you know, you don't get the extra blah. Everybody else is going to get it. And you can do things like that. But every DM, every PC,
Mhm.
every group works differently. So what I am saying right now does not necessarily work for
Yeah.
every group. So I just my old friends, we have like an understanding of sorts, and
Yeah.
so it works out. You know what I mean? Just like there's who's the face of the party. You know, you have to come to those. You know. But I suppose we move on to the next one, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's see. Many Sided Disc is talking about a bunch of different indie games that are coming up because there's been just so much more expansion of what kind of indie games are out there.
Oh
And
yeah.
I can tell you that my own personal life has been crazy busy since this explosion happened. So I was working over 60 hours a week while doing some schooling as well as preparing for and then becoming a new father. And then finally, like that finishes, and now I am a dad while running Lost Initiative and Delric Master and being on roll. So like because of this, my own personal life being so busy, I haven't had a lot of time to
Ex-
actually play these new games.
exactly in the same situation. You
Yeah,
know, it's like I
lame
work.
answer, but
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I work a full-time job. I come home and I stream, 20, 25 hours a week, and every hour that isn't doing a stream is dedicated to like building the channel. I wish I had more time to get into, these cool indie RPGs, like, but there's just so many of them. He mentioned a couple. The only one off the list that I know offhand is Blades of the Dark, because I know, because John Harper's a friend of mine, but the and I've played Blades in the Dark. I'd actually love to do. I was talking with Eric Vulgaris about doing a Blades in the Dark campaign, but I just, you know what, you and I are in the same boat, man. Too many things coming out, too much cool stuff. Like I'd love to get into Mouse Guard is looks really cool.
oh, that looks so good. I almost played it too. I was this close. It looks
Really,
amazing.
I want to play it,
like,
man.
This is Puss in Boots on crack tabletop. Like,
Yeah.
I so want to do this.
Yeah, I wanna play that. I'd love to play some more Blades in the Dark. Open Legend is really good. That's the system that my friend made. That got kickstarted, which is we use that for our horror game. And I've had a chance to play test a couple Kickstarter systems, but not really explore them. Pugmire is one that I've heard good things about. Some of my friends over at Saving Throw and Geek and Sundry have played that. So it's too much stuff. We're in a renaissance, man. We're in a fucking game renaissance.
So it's funny because I say this. One of the reasons why I'm so busy is that I'm actually like zero details are going to be offered, but I'm actually in the middle of developing my own game right now. That is a similar idea, and so I'm actually creating this as we speak. And the person who owns that shield is somebody who has bookcases and bookcases of all sorts of tabletop games and open box games and indie games and stuff like that. So every time I come across something where I'm like, oh, I don't know how I can, like, I'm trying to get this like really complicated point across in a very simple way, they'll literally just like show me like a rule book and be like, or like four different rule books and be like,
Yeah.
hey, these are how these other ones do it. And I would take inspiration of that. Now, obviously, like I'm not a plagiarizer, but I take inspiration of that and come up with my own rule set that mocks how successful they've been able to be with it in the past. And so luckily the owner of that shield has really helped me out. So
that's actually interesting that you say that. When I was hanging out with Adam Coble, he dude is a fucking encyclopedia of indie role playing games.
If it's your job, you get to like really entrench yourself and like, memorize everything, right?
And so we were taking questions, and someone was like, because I was talking to him about tarot cards, because in the game he's running for roleplay right now, they use tarot cards as a big mechanic in the game, and I was running a game where tarot cards were pretty heavily involved. So we were talking about it a little bit, and someone in the question section asked if they knew any role-playing games that used tarot cards as an actual like mechanic, sort of like how Deadlands uses regular playing cards and other whatever system used dice. And I'm like, yeah, I've never heard of that. And he's like, oh yeah, no, isn't there this system that does that? It's this one by this guy. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, man.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but if you have someone like that, like you can literally ask, like, hey, is there any game that uses like D30s? Like, yeah, man, it's this right here. You can play it. Here's the rule book. Like,
dude, I have a D30 from an old evil artifact item from second edition Dungeons and Dragons that one of my campaign characters had. So I own a D30. I could probably grab it in a second. I own a D30 specifically for that right there to be able to for whatever.
I have a D30 only because my one of my friends on Saving Throw Show runs a D&D hack that uses D30s because it's more extreme.
There we go. I was like, I have like a whole chest of dice right over there,
Yeah.
and I knew I saw it recently. So bam, D30. There's
D30, the
D30
forgotten
right.
child.
Yeah. So next question that I saw
Yes.
pop up was, what is the most controversial subject that has ever come up in or through D&D or TTRPGs? Well, one of the things that you might notice if you watch my shows is and this is a very touchy subject, especially nowadays, but racism comes up very often. Now, this is not the most controversial topic, but it is a very common topic in my games because, just simply put, I like my games to be very real feeling. I like to be immersive. I like you to be able to identify with how it is that real life situations happen. And every fantasy, like, racism is a very, very important part of the real world. So I put it into my games. So like, it could be something as simple as elves think they're better than everybody else. That's racist in my saying that alone. And then every time I RP an elf being that way, there's tons there. And this is a quick and dirty answer to that, but I very much immerse tons of racism into it, and that is not the worst subject. But I'll let you respond first.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's sort of because so we like racism is an interest is a topic in the real world because it because we're all people, right? We're all like, and it kind of it's a weird conflict. But in fantasy world, like, dwarves and elves are legitimately different, right? They have different cultures, they have different values, they have different everything. And so, like, it's such a trope in fantasy, right? And it's such a common thing that, like, there will be, like, and I've heard people say the same thing when it comes to, like, slavery and other subjects. It's like, these are things that do exist, and putting them in your fantasy world will give that world verisimilitude, right? Because I know plenty of people who have written settings that sanitize all of that out because they just don't want to deal with it, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your setting not having elves and dwarves hate each other and use slurs. But I also think there's nothing wrong with it existing. My only issue, and the only thing I will tell every DM, is if you're going to try and put that, like, there are many ways you can play it. You can play it in a silly way, where it's like, your knife ears are all shitty, don't trust any of them. Like, that's comedic racism, right? But there are also more serious ways that you can play it that almost feel more like commentary than world building. And I'd be wary about how those, depending on the group you have.
Absolutely.
You know,
never integrate it session one. Always learn your PCs and learn your characters before you integrate anything that's huge like that. I completely agree. But again, it's funny too, because we're using the phrase racism, but it's so different in the fantasy world because whereas the concept of race, which has existed for like such a short time in real world, is not actually what it is it's speciesism. In fantasy worlds, they're literally different species. Like a human and a dwarf,
like, it could,
a lot of settings can't.
It could be, but again, it's very it could be, or it could just be like, wood elves hate high elves, you know. And
there's that too.
Again, I think there's nothing wrong with it because it's something that should be. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt and assume that everyone I sit down at a table with is an adult and can think for themselves. So it's like, you can like me saying this person, like, this type of human doesn't like this type of human in my D&D world isn't a commentary on how I feel about people in the real world, right? I give people the benefit of the doubt there of assuming that they are aware of that. It can be touchy. Like, there are people for whom that can be a touchy subject. Just like anything, though. And if it does be, like, I would just be like, like I said, if you're gonna do something like that, just handle it in a way that treats it well. Don't treat it stupidly, you know?
It's funny actually, because going from, again, IRL campaigns to stream campaigns, the way people interpret your words is just so different. Because, like,
it is,
my friends, my family, my people all know my views of everything. They know how, like, open and welcoming I am. I mean, I was raised around cross-dressers. Sorry. See, even that phrase alone is considered not PC anymore. I was raised around people that transgender and stuff like that. Like, I have so, like, welcoming of everybody in real life. But if people don't like know that about your backstory, if they don't know that about you as a real
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
they could totally assume like, oh, you keep talking about this, like, is that how you really feel? So I get what you're saying, but we don't want this conversation to dissolve into.
No,
Okay.
I will bring this up quickly, and this is not the exact same question, but it's something that a friend of mine asked on Twitter recently. He's an Asian guy named Aiden, who makes our music, and he said he asked DMs, are there any accents that you won't do for fear of sounding or seeming racist? And to me it was such a weird question, because it's like,
That's a question.
if I'm like, but it doesn't make sense, because if one accent is racist, then aren't they all, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I know, because accents aren't even racial related, it's national, it's
it's yeah, I mean, it's no one's born with an accent, you know.
Exactly. We live in the northeast of New England. Now, my family has like Bostonian accent because I grew up around Boston, Cambridge, Malden, Revere,
Yeah.
right? I find the Bostonian accent to be extremely grating, and I'm sorry if you're from that region. I just, oh god,
I didn't think it was a real
Rhode
until I
Island?
went to Boston.
Oh god, and Rhode Island's even worse. Rhode Island's this bastardized child of Boston and New York, and the people of that of that region, especially closer to inner city you get, they like really hold pride to their accents, and to even insult it is like this huge like thing. And I'm sorry, I find it insulting. I find it grating to listen to, and so I intentionally lost my Bostonian accent at a very young age just because I'm not a fan of it. However, if I grew up in Tennessee, if I grew up in Texas, if I grew up in California, it'd be a very different accent, and I could be the same ethnicity, nationality, whatever. So I think it's a goofy question, just because
Yeah.
it's regional, right? So, but I don't know. My wife says all my accents, whenever I do them, end up turning Jamaican anyways. So she rags at me all the time.
I go British for some reason. Everyone is British in my world.
Every once in a while, because Sam Strippin does a voice for, he plays a female character, Rye,
Yeah.
in my Wednesday game, right? So every once in a while, I'll mock him or mock Rye and do the voice, and I could hit it like right on the nose, and it's really good. But there was one time where he wasn't there for the session, and I like tried to RP for as Rye for a second, and I was so on the spot, and I couldn't do it. And Maggie kept calling me out, and I was like, no, can't do it, no, can't do it. I'm so bad. I was like, oh, God. Now that I'm thinking about it in my own head, can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
with you, man. Accents are weird. I am a horrible voice actor. I do them all anyway, but I'm awful at it.
Yeah. So anyways, racism is a very common thing inside ours. I touch on all sorts of things. I mean, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty here because we don't want the conversation to go south, but pretty much anything that you find a questionable conversation, it has been brought up in my campaigns. My campaigns tend to be very dark IRL. I don't know if they'll ever get quite that dark on stream just because people misinterpret things, but I tend to run very dark campaigns, very like real and gritty. So pretty much anything has come up. Let's see, next question, and hopefully this is the next happy one.
Oh yeah.
How's
How's it going, Judo Killer? How you doing, man?
Was it?
If you guys, while he's checking that, if you guys have anything else, make sure to tag your questions with @explodingdice so I see them, so we can read them, because we're gonna be we'll take your questions and discussion topics.
There's one right here from Rose Artemis. Let's
Go
see,
for
at
it.
Exploding Dice, what's your criteria when looking for players in a campaign? Do you generally invite rather than advertise? Are there any major red flags that you look out for? That mean you really don't think that you'd enjoy DMing for someone? I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah. So I was not lucky enough to start a stream team and then any real D&D games like with groups of longtime friends. My group that I've been playing with for 3 years, I consider them my longtime friends now. But they started as strangers, and so anyone that I cast in a show now is going to be a stranger essentially, unless there's someone that I already know. But even the people that I already know, I have to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with them and see if they're gonna be right. I try and give everyone what I call the beer test, which is if I can sit down and talk with this person about gaming and what they're into and what ideas I have for the show and this and that. If I can do that for about an hour and I would have a beer with this person, then they're probably pretty good. It's usually it's not so much picking people for their individual characteristics, but it is always a matter of picking people that in my head I think are going to work well together. Because I don't need, it's very easy for me to get along with someone. It's always much more risky to know whether this group of like 4 or 5 people are going to mesh well and become a cohesive unit and friends, and enjoy each other's company. And so it's always like energy level, openness, just lack of, I guess, just being I don't know. There's like, you could just tell if someone's not really fun to be around, right? Or you wouldn't really enjoy talking to them if you sit down with them for a while. It's hard to say. It's not really a set of criteria. It's more just like how I feel about the person.
Mm-hmm. All right, so it's funny. I actually am. In my old age, I have become a bit of an elitist DM, is what I've been told. So I keep saying this. I take my games very seriously. I run them like Belichick. You show up when you're supposed to. You don't have to voice your character, but you have to play your character. You don't just say, "Oh, attack it with a sword." You have to actually role play as this character, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I actually do not generally onboard new PCs anymore. It's something that I haven't done in a long while. I am very fortunate, as I said, because I grew up in a geek family. I am the geekiest. I actually overtook Dad. I am the geekiest one in the family, and the rest of them are all nerds. My little brother happens to be a pretty good DM too, but way more accepting of me and knows my style immensely. He plays on my Friday show. So if somebody's new and wants to come to the game, they go through him first. He does the onboarding. Now, I will totally assist with teaching the rules, helping make characters, stuff like that. Like, I like having fun with people. I love spreading the word of the game. The reason why Mathis even plays Dungeons & Dragons because he learned it through friends that I taught. You know what I mean? And so it was like he was 2 steps out from me forever ago. I love teaching people. But I'm not a fan of Pink Mohawk. You know what I mean? So if you're that kind of person that's like, I want my character to be a half dragon, half drow, warlock of blah, 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 that has blah, 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 and I'm level 17 Weird Tiger. And I'm like, no. Like, we're not playing Inuyasha. I'm sorry. Like, you are not playing this character. This is not happening. It's hard to get a really in-depth, rich story with Pink Mohawk going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
it's not usually my style.
When I gave my answer, like you're exactly right. There's a lot of in-depth conversation. I do tend to consider it, like, I take things very seriously, and I think that may be a problem for me, but it's a problem in the sense that I'm just not a public DM. Like, I'm creating entertainment now, which means the people that I play with have to be entertaining to watch, right? It's very different. Like, it's very different than back when I was DMing on Roll20, and it's just like you got a bunch of email, applications. You selected the people who you thought would be cool. But yeah, there's always, for any new game and for any new player, there's always a process of talking about it. Like, this is the tone. This is how I run things. This is how, are you cool with that? Do you have any issues? I always ask someone, like, what are some things for you, either about the game or about the way a game is run, that you would consider deal breakers for you, like things that you just can't deal with. What are you looking for in a game? Like, what do you want to get out of a campaign? Though, like, these are questions I like to ask about players because I want to make sure that they're looking for the same things that I am.
As you had said earlier, you need to make sure that everybody meshes well. And that also means you as a DM to the PCs. I could DM any group, I could DM any type of game, any type of party, whatever the case may be, no problem. But it's, as a DM, you are more responsible for writing the content of the game on or offline than any other individual, though you are all, of course, doing it. And so since you have a lot of responsibility, it can be difficult to find stuff that to actually enjoy the game yourself. You have to be the kind of person that likes writing the story, likes living vicariously through your characters, so on and so forth. And if the game is going to go away that you don't enjoy, and you're doing a lot of work for a game that you're not enjoying, are you really going to keep playing that game? That's when it comes to the old Dane Cook reference, where you flip the border over and you're like, "Fuck this, grandma! Where'd you get those pink 50s, you cheating whore?" You know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't want to do this anymore. So
yeah.
So for me, I very much need to make sure that the game is going to be taken seriously, and then pretty much once I know the game is going to be taken seriously, and characters can feel very real world despite being fantasy world. It's all game. Whatever you want to do, high psionics, high fantasy, low and gritty, whatever you want to do, it's all good. So kind of, I think we tangent there.
Yeah. Many sided dice says every DM has their own fingerprint, how
Hmm.
they run or prep that separates them from others. What would you consider your signature? What would you be confident that few other DMs do? Um, so for me, I think one of the things that I do a lot of is asking for specifics. And that's like, for example, when a player wants to roll a when a player wants to look for something, like, okay, they're in a room, I want to look for clues, or I want to look for a secret door, I want to search for traps. I will, like, one of the things I'm constantly asking is for specifics. Where are you searching? How are you, like, what do you want to do? What do you, because you can't just be like, hey, I'm doing everything at once, right? I like to get players as, you know, as zoomed in on what their character's doing as possible, because for me it just you know, it's a way to get them to stop, you know, to out of bad habits and into role playing, rather than I'm character sheeting right now, you know.
Yeah. So I said before that we are more responsible running the game than the others. So the way that I like kind of do the math in my head is, assuming 1 DM to 4 PC ratio, which is very common. I put the responsibility on 15% on each character and 40% on the DM to run things. So you're more responsible than even 2 characters put together, but not more responsible than the entire group put together.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my big fingerprints, and you'll definitely see this in anything that I DM, I love to set up situations. Like, I kind of like throw situations out there where the PCs have to role play with each other, more than, or interact with the situation, where literally I, as the DM, don't need to speak at all. I don't need to describe anything. I literally set them up in a situation, put my mic on mute, sit back, and, you know, eat my snack food.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things I just love to do. I love, we are all being entertained by a story, right? Or writing a story together. I also like to sit back and enjoy the content being created. I don't want to have to be solely responsible for doing everything. So my big fingerprint is set up situations where I literally just sit back and watch TV. And there could be points in time where, this hasn't happened on a stream yet, but definitely IRL. There have been points in time where I could sit back for an entire hour or more without saying a single word, and just kind of like absorb the situation. I don't know. I love it. So
Yeah.
much fun.
I try and let players just run like that. I think it might be a comfort level. It like only with certain groups can I just sort of let them go off and do their own thing for a while, and I can just sort of, I'll just, like, that'll give me time to, like, sit back and get my notes for the next couple minutes that are coming up. But obviously, and I mentioned this before, I think probably one of my big signatures, probably my signature, is cliffhangers at the end of every session. Like, that's a thing I try to do. That's a rule I live by, because I don't know, it just feels right to me. Sorry, you want to say
Tell me
something?
a story about the person you clashed the most with in your D&D games, a PC, a DM that just rubbed you the wrong way with everything they did. I've got stories for you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So kind of funny. As I said, like, before I went into this, I mean, I had so many different people that I used to play with, whatever. Some that I was just, again, being like, mind you, like, I started Dungeons and Dragons Club in high school. So that being said, in starting Dungeons and Dragons Club in high school, I used to DM for like a crap ton of people, so much stuff. It was a lot of work. So I got like exposure to a ton of different people. But kind of funny, my best friend, I hope he doesn't watch this.
He won't.
He doesn't get much into Twitch. So my best friend, like the only one that's a step above Mathis, is one of my longest PCs. Like, we're talking, we've done whole weekends with like no sleep. We're talking solo campaigns, literally me DM, him PC, like a solid 40 hours over the course of like 50 something hour games. So like, I have a lot of fun with him. I love him as a PC. He has great potential as a PC or whatever. But god damn it, he does not play well with others. Oh my god. So for many years, what I would do is I would just try and fail and fail and try and fail and fail. And it all kind of like boiled down to me just kind of like making, he could not be in a game of Mathis. Oh, for the credit. If you ever hear me make the joke of Cryeden, Mathis's character's name was Kaiden. He was a Jedi, but because this other character was like a douche, and this character was a Jedi, he's like, oh, you just whine about everything, Cryeden. And and that was like the thing for the. It actually it turned the campaign upside down. It wasn't even fun anymore. It was just like, and this personality comes out with every character unless he's in the exact group of people, which is usually duo or trio campaigns, never full-blown parties, never 4, 5, or 6. Duo campaigns are the best. But one example of how this is just so difficult to do and so difficult to DM around. A few weeks ago, I even tweeted about me like literally breaking up cement for like funsies over a weekend. I actually did that. I went up to a lake house that my family owns in Maine, and I was there for the weekends in the wintertime, smashing up cement in the grounds because the ice heaves had screwed it up and we have to relay a new floor, whatever the case may be. So I brought up there my younger brother and my best friend. And we all know how he is, but we're literally cracking cement with a sledgehammer and picks while playing Dungeons and Dragons. We have a cell phone out for a virtual die roller, and we all have they have their characters effectively memorized, and I have the rules in my head. So we're good to go. We're just playing while cracking cement. It was great. Well, my friend, it was the first time I'd seen the new Hexblade done out, or whatever the heck they call it nowadays in 5e, done up. And so he makes this Hexblade character that worships like the sword thing, and he's like whatever. So my little brother being like, well, I know how he is. I'm just going to make things easy. I'm going to make a character that is a paladin that worships whatever dark power he is. And so my character sees his character as like the chosen one. And I'm literally going to introduce myself to him as like somebody who is sent by our greater power to serve you and to make your life easier. More or less, I know you're going to be a douche to me and you're going to try to like put your thumb on me and control things. I'm just going to make a character that's completely accepting of that in every way. So that was the setup, right? Literally the first combat they get into, my friend's character is getting attacked by one person. The other one's getting attacked by 4 people because Paladin versus Warlock, right? And so he literally doesn't disengage, turns and runs, take 2 hits from attacks of opportunity that came swinging at him to get over here and kill this guy so that the one he's sent to follow doesn't get injured. But because of like actions or whatever, the guy takes 1 point of damage throughout the entire combat where they fought like 7 or 8 creatures. And he ends the combat by pointing at his injury and saying to the other character, do better. And I'm like, how do you roleplay against that? I'm like, this is so difficult. And so my answer to this is, you know what, sometimes you just can't fix it. Sometimes no matter how hard you try, no matter what story you set up them with, sometimes it's just the person. So
I'll tell a quick story. I want to make it fast, but it is a funny one. When I started on Roll20, I had put together a 4th edition group, and I was running this really shitty homebrew, where it was like literally just like a dungeon or quest of the week kind of homebrew thing, where I was writing the world as they went. And we had this one player who, like, the minute he started playing, I knew it was going to be a bad deal, but I was a brand new DM at the time, basically. He wanted to play a bugbear barbarian with like ridiculous strength. So huge fucking bugbear barbarian, and somehow it happened. I don't remember. Basically, like, he's the kind of guy who, like, they were on a stealth mission to break into this noble's house, and he saw a bronze statue, and he's like, can I just lift this thing up and carry it out with me and sell it for like 10,000 gold once we get, they're like level 2 at this point, and I'm like, fucking no. But okay, so this guy he's a douche. He's not fun to play with. Fast forward a couple levels in the game, they went into this barrow. There was a cult down there. They killed this cult, and they found the treasure. And I was playing with things that I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to do some weird things that I'd been hearing about, just to spice up their travel time and make their out of combat game more interesting. So I put among the treasure, I put a chest. Stone chest with carven designs on it, set in the center of the room where all the treasure was around the edges, right? All the golden stuff was around. So this is just dead center of the room is a stone chest. He goes right up to it and opens it up, and inside is just a stack of 5 golden coins neatly on the bottom of the chest. It's fucking obvious. It's a trap. He's like, nope, take them, done. So he takes them, he puts them in his pouch. I roll a check behind the screen, and I say, nothing happens. And all the coins did was they were cursed, and they would just make it so that every day they would curse their number of coins in his inventory. So like 5 coins would turn into 10, and the curse was that he would not spend the cursed gold. He would just want to keep it. And so that's
Oh, that's so evil.
and
I'm stealing that so hard.
it is
Oh
it is
my
a
God.
it is a really good idea. He reacted in the
I've
worst
never
way.
thought of that. That's amazing. I'm sorry. Like, kudos to you, man. That
No,
is
no, it was I don't even I stole it from someone else, so by all means. But it was I literally just told him something like you feel like your gold means a lot to you, and he threw a fucking shit fit, like saying like this is bullshit. If you're gonna compel my character, just play it for me. Why don't you? Like it's bullshit. DMs can't. And like he decided that his character was just gonna sit down on the floor in the center of this dungeon, count his gold, and then like inconvenience the rest of the party until I basically said, okay, fine, you're not cursed. The party's like, no, we just leave.
Yeah.
I said that he didn't want to play after that. And yeah, he was. There's a story too about when I played one session in his game, but that's another story. That was probably the worst player that I ever played with. And that's worst counting the person who fought their own party and then got thrown in jail in session 1, and the other person who threw a shit fit and didn't even make it to the first session, but because she demanded to be a princess.
Well, in 5e, you could do that now by taking certain backgrounds, right? So the flip side of that question was player you love the most, so on and so forth, versus very inspired. So I'm gonna give 2 answers to that. The first one's quick and dirty. Actually, that same PC, because he is so amazing. He's so amazing that after hold on, how many years have I been DMing now? Like 16 years, 17 years of DMing, I still, like I did a few weeks ago and will in the future, DM for him. I'm actually thinking about doing a podcast of just me and him, just our voices, DMing a solo campaign, because he is that good. He is just so amazing at playing his characters. He's so, but you want a different answer than just that same person for both flip side of the same coin, right? So Mathis, okay, I'm going to get into this really quickly. When it comes to time travel, I'm not a big fan of time travel. I think most people do it wrong. A prime example of somebody that did it wrong, Back to the Future. Back to the Future looked like it was going to be a brilliant time traveling movie until you get to the end when they actually get back to the future and you realize time has changed. I hate that shit. Alternate universe, actually changing the future, like whatever that is. I like continuums and continuums only. That's just my shtick. That's what I like. Well, I ran a long-term campaign. I ran about 3.5 years with Mathis as one of my PCs in it. Took place in Eberron because, and I sent them back in the past for the first time ever in the entire campaign near the end of the 3.5 years. Like we're talking like 3 years and 3 months into the game. I send him back into the past to take care of something, and he, not only the way he role played, the way he did everything, the way he directed the other party members, PCs / characters too, to make sure that the way that the past was played by them perfectly fell in line and triggered all the things that actually happened in the past in their current game. And just like I would love to in a War Stories explain this fully out with Mathis sometime in the future in a different video that we do, but the short version is, holy crap, it was amazing. Just the way that everything's came together, it was awesome. I loved it. So Mathis is going to take the cake on that one, which is why we do a show together. Sorry, it was your turn.
I have a player in my Friday game, my home game. His name is Tom, and he originally joined he was not an original member to that group. He actually joined the group after because originally I started playing on Friday with a pre-existing group of people. Friday was their game night. 2 of the players in that group, like 2 great friends, decided they couldn't do the online gaming because they didn't like the side lack of side conversation, that you can't have that on Skype. Basically what happened is everyone left except this one guy, and we just slowly filled in the ranks. So one of the people that joined us was a guy named Tom. And he joined us playing a bard named Rumbobble, who I was wary at first because it was like just a randomly blue-skinned halfling, but he was a fucking great player. Fast forward to that campaign being put on hiatus about 1.5 years ago. We start a new campaign. He decides he wants to play Harold the Human Barbarian. It's not as weird as it sounds because it's an urban campaign. He's not like a tribal barbarian. He's like a thug that works on the docks. And he's playing like a drug addict. He's playing he's a bully. He's a thug, and he's the muscle in the party. All that's the surface. But when you actually listen and watch this guy roleplay, like he is so good at making it apparent that this character that he's playing is such a bully and so violent to cover up the fact that he desperately does not want to look weak, right? Like, he's terrified of looking weak to the point where he will almost impulsively make decisions to gain more power or to gain an advantage. I said this once before, but they were in, fast forward way late into the game, they're in a vampire temple. There's a vampire cult that's affecting a lot of stuff in the city. And so then at the bottom of the temple, they're called the Feasters the Heart. So naturally there's a heart in a dish on this altar, and the vampire in the temple offered the party to join them. The party said no, whatever. Middle of the fight, Harold runs over and grabs this heart and just takes a fucking bite out of it. And I was not expecting that. It threw me for a loop. And so I over the next couple of sessions, I had to find like a template that I could apply to him that basically makes him like half vampire. And I thought it was just a power play, but he now is a servant of the vampire lord in the city, and he has played it so well. Like, he is such a fucking bully, and he's aggressive, and he's confronting with everyone in the city, like, because he's the biggest and the baddest. But as soon as his vampire lord comes in, dude will fucking play like the most pitiful, like, servant you've ever seen. Like, I enjoy every moment of his role playing. It's hard to describe, but he's so good at it. And
some people just hit it on the nose, you know.
It is an absolute pleasure to weave stories for that character.
Awesome. So here's a really quick one.
Yep.
Which D&D celebrity would you like to either play with or DM for?
I have answered this once or twice before. I believe my answer remains Patrick Stewart.
Ha. Nice. Oh my God. See, that beats. I thought I had a good answer.
Oh, okay.
I think you just beat my answer.
Okay.
God, you ever see that HBO show he was on where he was that like alcoholic douchebag, where he was like part of like a talk show host? Oh man.
Blunt Talk.
Blunt Talk. Oh
yeah.
My God. I've only seen a handful of episodes or whatever, and oh my God, Patrick Stewart.
He's amazing. I love him.
Like Patrick Stewart, Meryl Streep. That's it. Life ends. So anyways, my response to that would be, I would love to DM for any person who works for Wizards and has written a book, a material book or a splat book, whatever. I would love to DM that book for them. So if you wrote Yawning Portal, I want to DM it for you. If you wrote Ravenloft, I want to DM it for you.
Is the goal to like stare at them with glee as you butcher it, or to like do them proud?
I want to outdo it. I want to take what they had, because like, remember, I make stuff up as I go, right?
Yeah.
So I want to immerse myself in the world, completely understand that world, and take it one step beyond than anything they ever imagined, and make them go, wow. And I think I could do it. I honestly think I can. But Mathis has already answered that for Lost Initiative and said Matt Mercer by the end of 2017. That's his goal.
I am hoping. Now this is a little bit of a spoiler. I'm going to be at Gen Con this year, and my friend is running a panel with Matt Mercer on it. So I'm hoping that maybe we can get some gaming in during the weekend.
There you go. Cool.
I will die immediately after that, but I'm hoping it happens.
Geneva Conventions with that's a Gygax thing right there. So, all right. Next question was Unearthed Arcana. 5e options and people look to them for fixes and more power choices. Is optimization of a character more or less important to you? Is D&D yet past the shackles of math? For example, is it meaningful to say X is a bad class or archetype? I'm going to answer this one and say every edition that comes out in every game system that comes out, it comes out usually brilliant at first, and the more splat books they throw out there, the worse it gets, because there's so much of it out there. However, 5th edition did an amazing job. It's not perfect, nothing's perfect, right? But did an amazing job of carrying the spirit of 2nd edition, and it's still having this very simple, a 5-year-old can learn it format, and putting it together in a way that's so hard to max min. I mean, I've run campaigns where Mathis has had like the most useless characters in the world, because all he cared about was the flavor of his character and the RP aspects of it, but his character was garbage and anything else other than literally him talking as him. In 5th edition, you could try to make a useless character, and you're going to be hard pressed. You're going to be very hard pressed.
5th edition hit a weird balance area that I think 4th edition was trying to do, but came at from the wrong angle.
Because 4th edition was written by Wizards, whereas 5th edition was and closed circuit, whereas 5th edition they finally listened to the community.
But the thing, for example, here's the thing, and I love Pathfinder's build options. I love how many classes there are. I love how many archetypes there are. I get so many character ideas just scrolling through the list of names of classes and the descriptions of them.
I love 45 hours spent into making a level 2 character too. Don't get me wrong.
Well, but that's like there's even but the thing about it is like most of them are garbage mechanically. Like most of them will underperform in a game, and that's the thing that I don't like. You know, like I wish if you found a really cool character that was like I don't know, like a Chirurgeon or a Mind Chemist or Polearm Master, right? I wish that character in Pathfinder or in any edition that has this is also a viable option that you could pick and still not feel shit on by the rest of the party, right? Which is the problem with 3.5 in Pathfinder, and 5th edition started out, and we talked about this I think with Mike Merles, or maybe it's no, I think this was Wax Steven. Wax Steven, he was saying he liked 5th edition's player handbook, and he didn't want to use anything outside of that, right? No other classes, no other no other things, because the player handbook is so kind of pure in what's in there that like there's almost a purity to being able to do everything you want just within those bounds, right? Mechanically, like you can flavor a bard any way you want, it almost doesn't matter. I don't know. I think I'm of two minds on that idea. I think I'm in both camps there.
I'm not sure how often you go over with this. I know we're coming to the end, but there's one more that I really want.
I don't mind.
Okay, cool. So somebody said roll for stats for me is just too gamey or whatever it is. I'm just too classic on that, or I'll never roll for stats. Well, one of the things I have to say is when you're talking about 5th edition, now I'm not talking about 3.5, 3.0, 2nd edition, classic, or whatever the case may be. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about specifically 5th edition. In 5th edition, there is nothing in that game that's random anymore. Nothing.
Yeah.
Everything is specifically formatted to be very streamlined, very mainstream, right? So yes, you can max min. I can make a useless artificer class while you make this broken warlock fighter build, right? Sure, that's totally possible, but you have to try to be useless and try to be max min to come out with a separation that is nothing like what you stumble across while trying not to in Pathfinder 3rd edition, whatever. So anyways, what I'm getting at is, that being said, with every character being so beautifully balanced, with everything being so streamlined in 5th edition, when you allow for roll for stats, and one person happens to roll 3 18s, 2 15s, and a 9, and somebody else just rolls shit. I'm not even going to give numbers, just shit.
Yeah.
It's hard to enjoy your shit character next to this amazing character. It makes for a PC to PC jealousy, or people will actually question because they didn't see it get rolled. They'll be like, well, did that actually
no,
happen?
you're right there, yeah.
It could actually ruin the integrity, the honesty, the fun of the game just because of stupid numbers on a stupid piece of paper. If you're in a more random world, sure. But when the whole game is streamlined perfectly, except for this one aspect, remove that one aspect. It only brings negativity. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna add. A lot of people will say like, "Oh, you can just do 3D or 46, drop the lowest, reroll ones." And it's like, but at that point, like, why even roll? Like, just if you're gonna give all these crutches towards better outcome, right? The re-rolling ones, the extra dice, the dropping the lowest, just point by it. Like, it's build the character that you envision, right? You might as well. If everyone is gonna roll their stats and do it in front of each other, and everyone's gonna be fine with it, by all means, if that works for you, yeah.
Sure. And again, it's every party, like I said a trillion times, every party, every DM, every PC is a little different. But again, specifically for 5th edition, I only mean this for 5th edition, most of the time, rolling stats is just going to cause a complication that you are otherwise not going to enjoy. You know what I mean? I use the point buy system. Everybody designs exactly what they want. You're not going to come up with crappy stats no matter what. And everybody just has fun. But I see many-sided dice through another 100
Yes,
bits.
thank you, man. Thank you. I was gonna get to that. Beers.
I didn't bring a glass with me.
Oh, it's all good. Right out of the bottle is how we do it. Beers for cheers, guys. Make sure you type ED cheer in chat. Thank you, many-sided dice, for the bits. I think that's
Smoky.
I think that's probably be the last question we have time for tonight, because we are coming real close to the end here. But before we bounce out of here, I want to say thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you all of you for your great questions, and of course thank you for the cheers, guys. Thank you to Scott for hanging out with me. I hope you guys. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I certainly hope you guys did. Before we kind of go into some quick last minute announcements and all that and stuff, Scott, do you want to just give a quick any hooks and plugs? Tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you kind of get up to, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So you guys know that Daleric, Twitter/Daleric. This is me right here. On Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Daleric Master, because even though nobody uses it, Twitch won't let me have it. Douchebags. And then I'm also, so let's see, it's Wednesday and Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Lost Initiative Show, where I hang with a whole bunch of cool peoples. Then I hang out on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/Roll For It, for is numerical. And then because I'm a crazy person, then 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do another 3-hour stream, twitch.tv/Daleric Master, right there. I have a whole bunch of other stuff in the works going out there. But if you have any questions, always feel free to hit me up on Twitter, on the Lost Initiative subreddit, because I troll around there. We have Lost Initiative or lostinitiativeshow.com. Either one of those work. We have a website if you want to go check things out there. I actually just made a YouTube page legit yesterday. That's right, yesterday. And so if you want to try to find me on YouTube, feel free to do so. I do not have a unique URL yet. I need 100 subs first. I have 15 subs right now. Woo! Yeah, 15% done. 15% done.
I remember when we got our custom URL, I was like, fuck yeah, youtube.com/exploding dice.
So looking forward to it. It's currently not claimed, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it. I'm super excited. Like I said, 15%. Who knows? Maybe it's gone up. I'm going to look while you...
Awesome. And thank you, Unmade Gaming, for the 300 cheer, man. What is going on, Mike? If you guys don't know, Unmade Gaming is an awesome friend of mine and another Twitch stream where you can find some really great weekly D&D content. Obviously, don't go watch their shows while ours are on, but you should definitely go check them out because they are real people, despite the fact that Mike doesn't exist. Anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out. My name is Asker, and I am the host and Dungeon Master here on Exploding Dice. If you guys enjoyed the show, you can come check me out on social media. It's just right there. It's at Askren on Twitter. Obviously, you're already here on the channel. If you haven't already, please hit that follow button, man. You get notifications about when we're going live. We do live role-playing games 3 nights a week. We have Iron Gods, which is sci-fi and fantasy. We have Writhing Moon, which is horror and mystery, and then we have Jade Region is kind of going on hiatus, but we have a new campaign coming on Sundays. And then, of course, we have Fuzzy Dice right here every week where I hang out with awesome content creators, Twitch streamers, and nerd celebs, and we just shoot the shit and talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, that is right. We need to, before we go, let me just turn up the music because I totally forgot. We need to get our Gleam competition winner. Hold on one second while I get it. Because we totally we've been running a competition all month, and we need to pick the winner of the Yawning Portal giveaway. Now, I don't expect the winner to be in this chat, but still, I want some hype to get some hype going. Let me find some.
I don't know. If they're not in the chat, I say it never happens.
It never did, man.
Pick somebody else. You know what I'm saying? We've all been there. We've all been to that party where there was like a drawing, and you're like, Ashley, is it Ashley at home? Pfft, Peter won.
I'm trying to find good music. Hold on. There we go. All right, so I have to pick but I have to pick the winner anyway, and this has gotta happen. So what's gonna happen here is I'm just gonna draw this winner and see who it is. And while I do that, guys, if you haven't already, we also have a Discord channel that you guys can jump in. It's just !Discord. That is where we have all of our the Bomb Squad community and all the cool stuff about us. And if you really, really enjoy the show, please consider hitting that Game Wisp subscribe link. Okay, so where did this go? No thanks. And so our winner of the competition is that is not a real thing. Come on. Holy shit, why is this taking so long? Hype, guys. Hype. Oh my fucking god. It is suddenly Pandas. It is Gareth from my good friend from Encounter Roleplay. Jesus shit. And his entry is from the Discord. So man, I am gonna send that. I'm gonna get that sent out or tweeted out. But Thank you everyone who entered. Thank you guys so much. Congrats to Gareth. I know you're not here because you are in England and it is crazy late there. But what I said is, it's never looked better. I will give you guys a sneak preview. It's not coming just today, but it is coming in just a couple days of what you can look forward to winning on this channel starting in May. As soon as I open this box, it is... what is that? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Oh, shit.
I have so many of those. I love that stuff. It's so good.
It is.
So good.
And I'm going to be...
hype there.
It is absolute hype. We have a whole box of that shit to give away for you guys. Actually, this isn't the only box. I have a second one coming, so it's going to be a huge giveaway. So look out for that. But thank you guys, as always. Thank you for your support. Thank you for hanging out with us here on Fuzzy Dice. Please tune in. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for Iron Gods, the Fires of Creation. That is our fantasy sci-fi campaign starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be it from us. Big thanks from me, and thank you to Scott. We will see you next time, guys. But as always, don't let Dice Thulu get his tentacles on you, because he gets very handsy when he does. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care, everyone.